So, when you're trying to connect with other guys, especially online, there's this one term that just keeps coming up again and again. Masc4.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Right. And it sounds simple enough, but wow, it carries a lot of weight. It can really stir things up.
Definitely. And if you're navigating that whole scene, resources like MenMeetMen.com are, well, they're trying to bring some clarity.
Exactly. They cover so much ground audio guides, safety stuff, different ways to meet like cruising or saunas, even hookup apps, and they try to be, clear and honest about it all.
Which is helpful. And that actually brings us to the focus of this deep dive. We're looking at one of their articles, Masc4Masc, unpacking the most loaded term on the apps.
Ah, yes. Because those three words, mask for mask, they generate so much debate, so many strong feelings.
They really do. It's quite something.
So our mission today, I guess, is to really get into it. Why is it so common? Why does it provoke such intense reactions? And what does it actually tell us about, guys meeting guys today?
Let's do it. The article kicks off by just pointing out how ubiquitous it is. You literally can't avoid it if you're on the apps.
No escape. You see it on Grindr, Scruff, Recon, Hornet, all the big ones, right?
Absolutely. It's
Yeah, I
just,
worked there.
and it appears in profiles in, well, different ways. Sometimes it's just listed like height or weight, basic info.
Yeah, but then you get the ones with a bit more.
Attitude. Exactly. Those little deal with it additions or sometimes much more direct exclusionary stuff.
Oh, yeah, the article mentions those really stark ones, like no femmes, no fats, no Asians. And I mean, when you see that, it feels like it's gone way beyond just a simple preference.
Setting up hard lines, isn't it?
Yeah.
Defining who's not welcome. And it's not always that explicit either.
Good point.
The article talks about the implied stuff, too. The profiles packed with gym selfies, lists of very traditional guy hobbies.
And those little digs, like no scene queens or saying they're straight acting.
Right. It all paints this picture of a very specific kind of guy being the only one desired.
And the reaction online to this, it's often pretty immediate and not exactly calm. People have opinions.
Oh, definitely not calm. The article calls it a real flashpoint. For every guy putting Masc4Masc out there are tons of others rolling their eyes, hitting block, or, yeah, sending pretty angry messages.
I've seen those threads the article mentions. It's like instant conflict. You get all these accusations flying around.
Femophobia is a big one. Internalized homophobia.
Misogyny, racism, body shaming. It's a heavy list.
It is. But then, on the other side, you have that strong defense, the "it's just my preference" argument.
Right, the sexual autonomy defense. Basically, who I'm attracted to is my business and shouldn't be policed.
And that's the core conflict, isn't it? It's just my type versus your type is problematic.
Which brings us right to the heart of it.
Oh,
what is mask? Anyway, the article really nails how slippery and, well, undefined it actually is.
Totally. It's not like measuring height, is it? Masculinity is it's construct, it's cultural. And the article points out that the Masc4Masc ideal on the apps usually points to a very specific stereotype.
Yeah, there's definitely an image that comes to mind, isn't there? The article sort of sketches it out. Often white, fit, muscular, maybe short hair, neutral clothes.
Interests like sports, cars, gym, maybe jobs in trades, finance, tech. The usual suspects, sort of.
And crucially, it's often defined by what it isn't, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's key. It's not femme. It's not camp. It's avoiding anything seen as, well, feminine. Mannerisms, voice, clothes, interests.
And the article connects that directly to being straight acting, performing a kind of normal, straight masculinity.
Which feels really restrictive when you break it down. The article asks good questions like, can a guy be emotionally expressive and still fit this mask label? What if he likes theater?
According to that narrow app definition, probably not. It's like searching for this one specific mold. And the article's right to point out how easily that can slide into racial bias, class bias, ignoring the huge range of how men actually are.
Yeah, the diversity gets lost.
Yeah, so then you get the defense. Look, attraction isn't a choice. The article unpacks that argument pretty well.
Right, the whole "I can't help who I like" line. Some people frame it almost biologically, like preferring blue eyes or something.
And the article acknowledges, some guys might just genuinely find that traditional masculine look appealing visually.
Right.
Or maybe they feel more comfortable with someone who presents similarly.
Yeah, there's a relatability factor. If you see yourself as Masc, maybe you feel an instant connection with someone else who identifies that way. Shared interests, maybe shared social circles.
And the safety angle, too, which the article mentions, especially for guys who are maybe more discreet, on the down low perhaps, they might look for someone similar who projects that same kind of discretion.
So yes, there's definitely a layer of genuine personal preference in there. You can't just dismiss that entirely.
Man, and it's a big but. Here comes the backlash, the argument that these preferences aren't formed in a vacuum.
Exactly. This is where the article digs into the criticisms. The idea is that our desires are shaped by the world around us and that world. Well, it's still got issues with homophobia, with misogyny, with really rigid gender ideas.
So the critics say you can't just separate a preference for masc and a rejection of femme from those bigger societal biases we all absorb.
hmm And the article lists the specific charges, internalized homophobia, like rejecting femininity in others because it's a part of gay identity that's been historically stigmatized.
Makes sense. Then femmephobia, the straightforward devaluation of effeminate men.
And a misogyny linking it to the broader cultural issue of devaluing anything considered feminine, even when it shows up in men.
And it doesn't stop there, does it? The article mentions reinforcing harmful stereotypes too, like narrowing down what it means to be a real man.
Right, and potentially making guys feel they can't be authentic if they don't fit that mold. And then, crucially, intersectionality, how this masc ideal often defaults to white cisgender men.
Further marginalizing guys of color, trans men, others who don't fit that narrow image, so it touches on racism and transphobia too.
Yeah, it's that tough realization, isn't it? That even our most personal feelings of attraction, when you look at them collectively, can contribute to these bigger systems of inequality. The article really stresses that you have to see that potential harm.
And to really get a handle on it, the article looks back a bit at the history. Because this isn't brand new, it didn't just start with Grinder.
No, absolutely not. The article brings up the historical pressure on gay men to just pass as straight, for safety, often.
Right. Being seen as effeminate wasn't just socially awkward, it could be genuinely dangerous. So performing masculinity became a kind of survival strategy for a long time.
And the article suggests the AIDS crisis might have played a part too, maybe leading to this valorization of hypermasculine bodies, health, strength, as a reaction against the stigma of illness.
That's an interesting point. Plus, just the way gay men have often been shown in mainstream media, often very narrowly, stereotypically, that must have had an effect over time.
Undoubtedly. And then hookup apps arrived on this scene. And the article explains really clearly how their design just pours fuel on this whole Masc4Masc fire.
Yeah, it really amplifies it. First off, they're so visual, right? You're swiping, making snap judgments based on photos.
Which naturally favors conventional looks, including conventional masculinity, and profile space is limited, so people reach for shorthand labels. Masc4Masc becomes an easy filter.
Quick and easy, but loses all the nuance.
Totally. And the article raises that interesting idea about algorithms. If people keep clicking on mask profiles.
The app shows you more of the same, creates a kind of preference bubble.
Exactly. Plus, there's a performative element. Saying Masc4Masc isn't just about who you want, it's about signaling how you see yourself.
Like, I'm this kind of guy looking for the same kind.
Right. And because it feels somewhat anonymous, people feel freer to be really blunt, maybe even harsh, in stating those preferences, things they might not say face to face.
So the apps didn't invent it, but they gave it a massive megaphone?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But importantly, the article also says, hang on, don't just paint everyone with the same brush. There can be more going on under the surface.
Right, it urges a bit more nuance, like it gives examples. Someone who is bullied badly for not being manly enough might seek out masculine guys now almost as a safety mechanism.
Yeah, a sense of shared understanding, maybe protection, even if it's complicated. It's an understandable reaction to negative experiences.
Or the example of guys who are very much on the down low. For them, seeking another masc, straight-acting type might be less about hating femininity and more about practical discretion, finding someone who gets that need for privacy.
Absolutely. And the article also touches on cultural differences. What's seen as masc isn't the same everywhere. And, crucially, people aren't static. Masculinity and femininity aren't opposites. They can coexist. Attractions can change. What someone puts on their profile might not be the whole story.
So wrapping things up, the article really lands on this idea that Masc4 is, well, it's complicated. It reflects this messy mix of genuine desire, personal identity, but also societal power dynamics and gender norms.
Yes. It can be both a real attraction and a way prejudice gets expressed, sometimes without the person even realizing it. Often, probably, It's a bit of both tangled together.
And the article argues that just saying it's only a preference ignores the real impact it can have, how it can make people feel devalued if they don't fit that narrow mold.
But at the same time, it cautions against just labeling everyone who uses the term as automatically prejudiced. It acknowledges the complexity, the unconscious factors in attraction.
Ultimately, the conclusion seems to be that Masc4Masc isn't just three little words, it's like a cultural symptom. It sparks these vital conversations, maybe uncomfortable ones, and it definitely reveals anxieties within the community.
Yeah, it makes us look at who gets valued, who gets desired, and ask why.
So back to that first question, what does it really mean? Clearly, no simple answer. It's a whole lot of personal feelings, social pressures, history. It gives you a lot to chew on, thinking about your own attractions and the words we use.
It really does. And, for anyone trying to sort through all this, like we said at the start, MenMeetMen.com is genuinely a solid resource. They go way beyond just apps.
Oh yeah, loads of guides on meeting in the real world, safety advice, which is crucial, and info on different places men connect, like saunas or clubs.
And what I appreciate is their approach trying to be clear, honest, and importantly, non-judgmental. They seem to get that people have different needs, different levels of comfort and discretion.
Totally. They cater to a pretty broad range, whether you're just curious or know exactly what you're after.
So yeah, if you want to explore these topics more, get those in-depth guides, safety tips, learn about different ways guys connect. Definitely check out menmeetmen.com. That's MenMeetMen.com.
MenMeetMen.com. And maybe a final thought to leave you with? Thinking about Masc4Masc, what other simple-seeming words or phrases do we use every day that might actually be packed with hidden meanings, unspoken assumptions, things that can bring us together, but maybe also push us apart without us even realizing it? Definitely something to ponder. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.